Hey everyone, I want to talk today about something we all experience, but don't always talk about. Fake friends. You know the ones who smile at you in public but gossip behind your back, the ones who only show up when they need something, the ones who pretend to care, but when life gets tough, they're nowhere to be found. We all crave connection, we all want to belong, and that makes friendship one of the most powerful forces in our lives. But here's the thing, not all friendships are real. Some are built on convenience, on manipulation, on pretense. And when we invest in fake friendships, we drain ourselves. We lose trust, we lose confidence, and worst of all, we lose sight of who we really are. All right, friends, before we dive in, let's do something simple but powerful. If you're finding value here, if something resonates, challenges you, or even just sparks a little curiosity, go ahead and hit that like button. It's a small gesture, but it's a way of saying, hey, this mattered to me. And if you're feeling it, subscribe. It's how we stay connected, keep these conversations going, and continue growing together. That little bell icon, it's not just a button, it's an invitation. It means you won't miss out when something new drops, something that might just be the exact encouragement or insight you didn't know you needed. And lastly, if you know someone who could use this message, share it, because when we pass along something meaningful, we're not just sharing content, we're sharing courage. And that's how we build communities that lift each other up. All right, let's get started. Real friendship is built on vulnerability. It's about being seen, known, and accepted, flaws and all. It's about those late night conversations when you open up about your fears and dreams, those moments of laughter that leave your sides aching, and those times when you sit in comfortable silence, knowing you don't have to fill the space with words. True friendship goes deep. It's raw, it's real, but fake friends, they live on the surface. They thrive on the highlight reels, the carefully curated moments that make life look perfect. They want to be there for the Instagram-y brunches, the big celebrations, and the nights out where laughter is loud and carefree, but the moment things get real, they pull away. They aren't interested in the tough conversations or the vulnerable moments. They don't want to witness the tears, the setbacks, or the uncertainty. They only want the polished version of you, the one that's easy to digest and doesn't ask for too much. These friendships often feel exhilarating at first. Fake friends can be charming, fun, and magnetic. They're quick with compliments and promises of loyalty. They might shower you with praise, call you their ride or die, and make you feel like you found your people. But pay attention, fake friends are masters of convenience. They stick around when it serves them, but the moment you need something more than laughter and light conversation, their enthusiasm fades. You'll notice it in the subtle ways. They'll change the subject when you talk about something that matters to you. They'll disappear when you're struggling and need emotional support. When you express a hard truth or share a difficult experience, they might minimize your feelings or brush past them with a half-hearted, you'll be fine, or don't be so dramatic. That's because vulnerability makes them uncomfortable. They aren't equipped to handle the complexities of real emotions. And here's the tricky part. Fake friends often don't even realize they're being fake. They might think they're doing enough. After all, they were there when you got the promotion. They sent a love you girl text when you posted a happy selfie. In their mind, that's what friendship is. Occasional check-ins and showing up when it's convenient. But real friendship requires so much more. It demands presence, patience, and a willingness to walk through the difficult seasons together. You deserve friends who lean in when things get messy, people who aren't afraid of your unfiltered emotions, friends who see you in your lowest moments and don't turn away. And the truth is, when you surround yourself with fake friends, you rob yourself of those meaningful connections. You end up feeling lonelier than if you had no one at all. Because nothing feels emptier than realizing the people around you only know a fraction of who you are and they're not interested in knowing the rest. So ask yourself, are the people in your life genuinely invested in you? Do they ask about your hopes and fears, your struggles and victories? Do they listen? really listen without judgment or interruption? Or do they only stick around for the laughter and the light? True friendship requires courage. Courage to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to stand by each other when life gets hard. If someone in your life is unwilling to meet you in that space, it's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to grieve what you thought that friendship could be, and it's okay to walk away. Because the more you let go of those surface level connections, the more room you create for the kind of friendships that truly matter, the ones that see you, hear you, and love you just as you are. And those are the friendships worth holding on to. There's a certain weight that comes with being around fake friends. Even if you don't notice it right away, it's subtle at first, like an ache you can't quite name. You might find yourself feeling uneasy after spending time with them, questioning your own worth, or replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing. It's that emotional exhaustion that creeps in when you realize you're giving far more than you're receiving. Real friendships are energizing. They may not always be easy, but they're balanced. You leave conversations feeling lighter, more understood, and more connected. Even when the conversations are tough or vulnerable, there's a sense of relief in knowing you were truly heard. But with fake friends, it's a different story. You might feel like you're constantly performing, trying to meet their expectations or stay in their good graces. You're careful with your words, afraid that one wrong move will be met with judgment, criticism, or gossip behind your back. The truth is, fake friends don't just drain your energy, they drain your self-worth. They subtly chip away at your confidence, often without you even realizing it. Maybe they make backhanded compliments disguised as jokes, or they dismiss your achievements with a casual, must be nice, instead of genuine excitement. They might always steer the conversation back to themselves, barely acknowledging your feelings or experiences. And over time, that one-sided dynamic starts to take a toll. You find yourself emotionally depleted, wondering why the people who are supposed to bring you joy leave you feeling empty. It's not just about the emotional energy, though. Fake friends are often takers, not just of your time and attention, but of your kindness, your resources, and even your peace of mind. They'll come to you when they need something, whether it's validation, money, favors, or a shoulder to cry on. But when the roles are reversed and you're the one in need, they're suddenly too busy, too distracted, or too uninterested. That kind of inconsistency is exhausting. You never know where you stand with them, and that uncertainty keeps you in a constant state of emotional overdrive. What's especially draining is the mental effort it takes to maintain the illusion that everything's fine. You might find yourself excusing their behavior, convincing yourself that they didn't mean to be hurtful or that you're just overthinking it, but ignoring the signs doesn't protect you. It only prolongs the damage. Every time you betray your own feelings to keep the peace, you're diminishing your own self-respect. That internal conflict is like carrying a weight you were never meant to bear. And let's talk about comparison. Fake friends often fuel that toxic cycle of comparison and competition. Instead of celebrating your victories, they might subtly undermine them. Maybe they make sarcastic remarks, downplay your accomplishments, or shift the spotlight back to themselves. It's exhausting to constantly defend your joy or feel like you have to shrink yourself to maintain the friendship. True friends won't make you question whether it's okay to shine. They'll cheer you on without hesitation because your success never threatens theirs. But perhaps the most exhausting part of being around fake friends is the emotional loneliness. You're surrounded by people, yet you feel profoundly alone. You may laugh, make plans, and share stories, but deep down, there's a gnawing emptiness. That's because the connection isn't real. It's conditional. And the longer you stay in that space, the more disconnected you become from yourself. The good news is recognizing this pattern is a powerful first step. When you become aware of how certain friendships are depleting you, you gain the clarity and strength to make a change. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're unkind or unforgiving. It means you're valuing your own well-being. It means understanding that your time and energy are sacred and not everyone deserves access to that. Choosing to let go of draining friendships may feel difficult at first, especially if you've held on for a long time out of loyalty or fear of being alone. But true freedom comes when you realize that protecting your energy is an act of self-love. It opens up space for the friendships that fill your cup instead of emptying it. The friends who listen deeply, who show up consistently, and who celebrate you without hesitation. Those are the people who will leave you feeling energized, empowered, and at peace. And remember, the energy you give and receive shapes the quality of your life. Don't waste it on those who leave you running on empty. You deserve friendships that fuel your spirit and remind you of your worth. Choose wisely. There's something profoundly revealing about the moments when life brings you to your knees. When the news is bad, the diagnosis is grim, the relationship ends, or the job slips through your fingers, those are the times when the truth about your friendships becomes undeniably clear. Because in the face of pain, uncertainty, and struggle, real friends stay. They step in, not away. But fake friends, they vanish. At first, it may not be obvious. Maybe you tell yourself they're just busy. Everyone has their own problems, right? You convince yourself that they probably didn't know how to respond or that they would have reached out if they really understood how much you were hurting. But the longer the silence stretches, the harder it becomes to deny the truth. When you needed a shoulder to cry on, they were nowhere to be found. When your heart was breaking, they were absent. And even worse, they might not even notice your absence in their own lives. That's because fake friends are often drawn to you when you're easy to be around, when you're happy, successful, and full of light. They love the version of you that's carefree and upbeat. But when your world gets dark, they retreat. They might not say it out loud, but your pain makes them uncomfortable. Supporting you through difficult times would require emotional presence, patience, and the willingness to hold space for your vulnerability. And that's not something they're willing to offer. Some fake friends might offer surface level support at first. A quick text that says, "Let me know if you need anything," or a comment under your social media post with a string of heart emojis. But when you actually reach out, the excuses come. Suddenly they're too busy to talk. Plans get canceled. They forgot to check in. The weight of your grief or frustration becomes inconvenient for them. And instead of stepping up, they step away. And the worst part, fake friends often expect you to understand their absence. They'll justify their distance with phrases like, "I just didn't know what to say," or "I didn't want to make things worse." But let's be clear, not knowing what to say has never been a valid excuse for disappearing. Real friends don't need the perfect words. They understand that simply showing up is enough. They know that presence matters far more than platitudes. You see, the true test of any friendship isn't how someone celebrates your victories. It's how they stand with you in your defeats. It's easy to show up for the champagne toasts and the photo-worthy moments, but real friendship asks for more. It asks for late-night phone calls when you can barely get the words out through the tears. It asks for silence when there's nothing left to say but everything left to feel. It asks for patience when the healing is slow and unpredictable. And it asks for consistency, not just on your best days, but especially on your worst. But fake friends aren't built for that. They lack the emotional resilience to weather the storms with you. In fact, some may even resent your struggles because they disrupt the carefree dynamic they enjoyed. Your pain is a mirror they'd rather not look into. It reminds them of their own discomfort and forces them to confront emotions they've avoided. And so instead of walking beside you, they distance themselves. What makes this even harder is that we often hold on to these friendships longer than we should. Part of us clings to the hope that they'll come through, that they'll prove us wrong. After all, they were there for the good times. Shouldn't that count for something? But here's the harsh truth. A friendship that evaporates the moment you need it most was never truly solid to begin with. And the sooner we accept that, the sooner we free ourselves from the disappointment that comes from expecting depth from people who were never willing to go beyond the surface. It's okay to grieve these friendships. Losing someone you once considered a friend hurts, even when you know they weren't good for you. It's the loss of shared memories, laughter, and the imagined future you thought you'd have together. But there's also freedom in recognizing that you deserve better. You deserve friends who don't flinch when life gets hard, friends who lean in instead of backing away. And when you find those people, the ones who answer your late night calls, who sit with you in your silence, and who remind you that your worth isn't diminished by your struggles, you'll understand why the loss of fake friends was never really a loss at all. It was a clearing, a necessary shedding of what no longer serves you, making space for the kind of friendships that will stand the test of time. So if you've noticed people disappearing from your life during your hardest moments, know this: it's not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of theirs. Real friends don't run when the storm comes. They stand with you, umbrellas in hand, ready to weather it together. And those are the friendships worth holding on to. It's one of the most painful truths to face, realizing that not everyone in your life is genuinely happy for you. There's a particular kind of heartbreak that comes when you achieve something you've worked so hard for, and instead of celebration, you're met with subtle resentment, backhanded compliments, or deafening silence. You might expect a friend to be the first person cheering for you, but when they see your success, something shifts. Instead of standing beside you, they stand against you, measuring their worth against yours. Fake friends often view life as a competition. They can't separate your victories from their own insecurities. Your success in their eyes isn't something to celebrate, it's something to compare. Maybe it's that job promotion you landed, the relationship you're thriving in, or even the personal growth you've achieved. Whatever it is, instead of feeling joy for you, they feel threatened. It's as if your light dims theirs, as if your progress somehow pulls them further behind. And here's the tricky part. They won't always show it outright. Fake friends are often masters of disguise. They might offer a quick, insincere congrats or leave a half-hearted comment on your social media post, but beneath that thin layer of support lies resentment. They may follow up with passive-aggressive remarks like, "must be nice," or "some people have all the luck," undermining the hard work you put in. They may even try to diminish your achievements by pointing out the negatives. But won't that mean longer hours? Or, "that's great, but I heard it's super stressful." These comments are designed to puncture your joy, to plant seeds of doubt. Sometimes fake friends won't even pretend to celebrate. They might disappear altogether, suddenly becoming distant once things start going well for you. Calls go unanswered, messages are left unread, and the plans you once made together are quietly abandoned. You might notice they're more engaged with others who haven't experienced the same level of success, as though your happiness makes them uncomfortable. And the truth is, it probably does, because your success forces them to confront their own insecurities. It's a reminder of where they feel they're lacking, and rather than face those feelings, they retreat. But perhaps the most toxic behavior of all is when fake friends turn your success into a competition. They might immediately follow your good news with their own accomplishments, real or exaggerated. If you get a promotion, suddenly they're talking about how they're thinking of starting a business or got an exciting opportunity too. If you share a milestone in your relationship, they might make a point to highlight their own romantic experiences, even if they weren't a topic of conversation. It's as though they're saying, "look at me too. I matter just as much." And while it's normal for friends to share their own experiences. There's a noticeable difference when it stems from competition rather than genuine connection. And what makes this so exhausting is the emotional toll it takes. You start to second guess yourself. Maybe you downplay your achievements to avoid making them uncomfortable. Maybe you find yourself holding back on sharing good news because you fear their reaction. The joy you should be celebrating becomes tangled with guilt and anxiety. You wonder if it's selfish to want support from the people you thought would be happy for you. But let me be clear, it's not selfish, it's human. True friendship is meant to be a safe space where your happiness is embraced, not envied. Real friends see your success as a shared victory. They cheer you on without hesitation, not because they expect something in return, but because they love seeing you grow. They understand that there's no scarcity of joy, that your accomplishments don't diminish theirs. In fact, they know that the success of one friend often uplifts the whole circle. Real friends are the ones who send that enthusiastic voice memo saying, "I'm so proud of you." They're the ones who show up with flowers or take you out for dinner to celebrate. They don't just tolerate your happiness, they amplify it. And the beautiful thing about surrounding yourself with real friends is that the celebration becomes mutual. When it's their turn to shine, you'll be the one in their corner cheering just as loudly. Because true friendship isn't a game of comparison. It's a dance of mutual support where each step forward is celebrated, no matter who takes it. But letting go of fake friends is hard. You might hold on, hoping they'll change, believing that deep down, they'll one day be capable of genuine joy for you. And while people can grow, it's not your responsibility to shrink yourself while waiting for that growth. Your joy is worth protecting. Your accomplishments are worth celebrating. And your energy is too precious to waste on people who can't offer you the kindness and support you deserve. So pay attention. Notice how people respond to your success. The friends who clap the loudest, who celebrate without jealousy or resentment, those are your people. The ones who show you through their actions, not just their words, that they want to see you thrive. And when you find them, hold them close. Because real friends don't just stand by you in your darkest moments, they also dance with you in the light. There's something powerful about knowing your worth. And when it comes to friendship, that self-awareness becomes even more essential because the people you surround yourself with have the power to shape how you see yourself, how you move through the world, and how you weather both the highs and the lows. Real friends add value to your life. They offer support, laughter, and love that stand the test of time. But when you settle for less, for fake friends who undermine, exhaust, or compete with you, you deny yourself the friendships you truly deserve. It's easy to fall into the trap of keeping people around simply because of shared history. Maybe you've known them since childhood, or you went through a significant chapter of life together. There might be memories that feel too precious to let go of. You think about the vacations, the late night talks, the inside jokes that no one else would understand. And yet, when you pause and reflect, you realize those memories don't outweigh the discomfort you feel now. The truth is, people change, and not always in ways that align with your growth. Holding on to a friendship out of nostalgia alone is like clinging to an old photograph. It captures what once was, but it's not a reflection of what is. Then there's the fear of loneliness. Sometimes we keep fake friends in our lives simply because the thought of being alone feels unbearable. You tell yourself that having someone is better than having no one at all. But that's not true. The loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people who don't genuinely support you is far more painful than the solitude of your own company. Realizing that the people in your circle aren't truly in your corner can leave you feeling empty, unseen, and misunderstood. It's like screaming into a void, hoping for someone to hear you only to be met with silence. That kind of loneliness lingers, and it takes a toll. But when you choose to release those empty friendships, you create space. Space for people who want to know the real you, not the version you've carefully curated to meet their expectations. People who ask, how you're really doing and listen with their whole hearts. People who celebrate your victories without hesitation and sit with you in your pain without trying to fix or diminish it. These are the friends who offer laughter when you need it, perspective when you're lost, and unwavering presence when life feels overwhelming. And here's the thing, you are worthy of that kind of friendship. You are worthy of people who see your light and never feel the need to dim it. Friends who aren't threatened by your growth, but inspired by it. You deserve the kind of friendships where you can show up as your full, authentic self, no masks, no pretending. The ones who encourage your dreams, stand by your side when those dreams feel out of reach, and celebrate with you when they come true. But to find those people, you have to be willing to let go of what no longer serves you. That means recognizing the signs of a fake friend, the subtle jabs, the lack of support, the way they only show up when it benefits them. It means understanding that it's not your responsibility to fix people who refuse to grow. It means knowing that setting boundaries isn't an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-respect. And yes, it will be hard. Letting go of toxic friendships can feel like grieving a loss, because in many ways it is. You're saying goodbye to the version of that person you once loved, to the future you imagined with them, to the comfort of what was familiar. But what waits on the other side is freedom. Freedom from the weight of constant comparison, freedom from the exhausting task of managing someone else's insecurities, freedom to invest your time and energy into relationships that nourish your soul. And something beautiful happens when you choose yourself in this way. You begin to recognize the friendships that were always there, steady and true, the ones who never asked you to shrink, who never competed with your joy, who showed up even when it wasn't convenient. And as you grow, you attract more of that goodness into your life. Because when you stand firmly in your worth, the right people take notice. You'll find friends who celebrate your quirks instead of criticizing them, friends who know your flaws and love you anyway, friends who aren't afraid of your success, your ambition, your voice. They'll stand in your corner, not because they gain anything from it, but simply because they believe in you. So don't settle. Don't accept the bare minimum and call it friendship. You deserve the fullness of connection, the kind that challenges you, supports you, and makes life richer. Trust yourself enough to walk away from those who can't meet you at that level, and know that by doing so, you're not losing. You're making room for the friendships that will light you up, hold you close, and remind you over and over that you are deeply loved. Friendship isn't about quantity, it's about quality. It's about who shows up, who listens, who stays when things get tough. So here's my challenge to you. Take a good look at your circle. Are your friendships lifting you up or weighing you down? Are they built on authenticity or convenience? And most importantly, are you being the kind of friend you want to have? Because at the end of the day, real friendship isn't about what we get, it's about what we give. And when we build relationships on trust, kindness, and honesty, we don't just find good friends, we become them. So let's be brave, let's choose real, let's never settle for anything less. Thank you.